Okay, just give it 1 second. All right, so hello everybody in TV land, and I have a few people in my room. I am going to let it spew today. Let it brew, let it spew, let it pew. So what I just got some news that really made me angry really shortly before coming in to do this session. And so I feel like it's a good tool to have to be able to be with our things, whatever they are emotionally, and still show up for ourselves in whatever way we are showing up for ourselves. So, I'm going to let it brew. I'm going to let it spew. I'm going to let myself renew with this information that I just got that made me so angry. So I am going to come into myself first with a few breaths. And because I'm very activated because of this news, I'm really going to reach out and up to the gods for some inspiration. And exhaling, letting it go. And also, I want to name that when we're doing practices, we want to keep coming back to them, especially when we're challenged, when we're like, oh, now I got to go into this practice and I don't, everything isn't perfect. I want to go in and see what happens. So I'm actually going to use a breath today that's kind of an active breath, an activated breath. And it's a breath from Continuum, and it's called the WHO breath. It also ends up feeling really funny to me. So actually, when I get angry, that to me is often funny because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so pissed off. This is hilarious because it doesn't happen that often. So anyway, we're going to start with this breath, and I'm on a physio ball. And the physio ball is a really great way for this breath, but you could also do it standing or seated on a couch or the edge of a bed, or even in your bed if you're not moving that much. If things are a little more still, you don't have to go as crazy as I'm going to go in this. But the idea with the WHO breath is to activate and to release in that activated state. So it's a breath that basically is like, it's like a monkey, kind of like you're going to go hoo hoo ha hee hee hee, and you're going to let things out. So for me, I'm going to bounce on my ball and hoo hoo ha 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 hoo ha hee, right? I'm not going to try and rein things in and pretend that I don't have shit that needs to come out right now. I'm going to let some of that stuff, like I'm just shooting sparks out of my hands, out of my tail, out of my feet. Ha, ha, ha. Now, let me say, you might be coming into this thinking, oh, I was coming in for this like deep internal softness. You can also be, it could be deeply internal and soft. So let yourself play with whatever is playful, whatever is interesting. I almost said joyful because as soon as I start bouncing on this thing, it becomes joyful and fun. I'm like, oh, I've got this thing. There's my mom in the background. I've got this thing going on that makes me angry. And I can say it. There's a thing going on that's making me angry. And I can feel into my body, what is that thing going on? I told the people in my room beforehand, but I'm not going to share that information in public. But I am going to start to spiral with this a little bit. So, yeah, I want to come into a sense of flow. So that who was letting me really shake it out, but now I want to like find my stride. So I'm coming into this contralateral pattern where I can feel this cross-body relationship. And I'm also going to add like a flex to my foot on the ground. You could do this laying down. So I have that very like, I want to say like caffeinated, activated, angry thing going on. But I can also feel into myself, right? So with that WHO breath, I felt like there was a lot of stuff going out, but now I want to come in. Yeah, I want to come in and I can feel that there's definitely some grief there, some anger and some grief. And I really just want to see where that's landing for me. And obviously, my hands are up here on my neck and my throat. up above my heart, and also in my solar plexus, right? This is like that third chakra area. How do I come out in the world and show myself in the world, and how does the world see me? Hmm. Yeah, so I'm now just sitting with my very, very activated body, feeling into it. Yeah, and I feel like I'm coming into myself with some compassion and some curiosity. And I have this image. Oh, and I'm going to start crying. So that's there too, right? Things are there. But I have this image of like me with this flashlight walking through this cave, like I'm illuminating this interiority, this subterranean space as I come into myself with my own emotions. And as I'm coming in for the landing, I want to allow them to come up. I don't need, if I need to cry, I'm going to let it out. So I'm going to also add that as I go deeper into this, like it becomes very impersonal. And I can feel myself sort of retreating back into my body, like in a, not in a retreat that I'm going away from or hiding, but it's that I'm coming into the back body, coming into what's inside. So often I feel this when I start these practices, sort of coming in and going down. So I'm feeling into that. And I'm going to add a theta breath here. So the theta breath is very soft, soft hiss. And I want to say that today, for me, it's like releasing the steam, right? And the steam, that's water and fire, right? It's heat and air, right? It's all of these things coming out. Heat, water, and air. And as I'm in that place of releasing the steam, and maybe your experience is totally different. So I'm just offering you what's going on for me. I can become curious in there. So I have my eyes closed and I'm playing with this side movement of my head because it feels really interesting to me with the theta. And for some reason, like for me right now, it's just very interested in this right side, not the left at all. So allow your body to move in any way that feels interesting. And allow yourself to stick with what feels interesting. Like I don't have to even myself out right now. I don't have to go to the other side. I can just keep exploring this space on the right side of my body. And I also want to say that I'm not looking for any answers here. I'm just allowing expression. Maybe things will pop up. Maybe there will be insight. Maybe, something will all suddenly click into place. But really, that's not at all the goal. It's just to be in and to be with. And in a weird way, I feel like what I'm exploring right now, just the contours of what I'm going through. And as I move in these little ways and allow myself to explore around myself, it starts to just become very interesting. So the invitation really is to allow anything that you're really going through to come up and explore, how does that play out on a cellular level? How does that play out in your nervous system? Allowing change whenever it comes up and through, and in a way, like we're constantly changing whether we notice it or not. Yeah, whatever was going on the right has now become more voluminous, and the left has come into play as well. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of old patterning here that's cultural and also familial and familiar, gender oriented. What do we do with that anger when it comes up? Or the grief? So many things that we could feel bad about all the time. So I'm going to add another breath because I'm noticing that I'm doing it, and that is like, and it's basically just letting air come out of your mouth. If you feel like making sound with that, like whoa, go for it. But for right now, as I explore the inside of this, I don't want that much vibration to add the vocal sound. So I'm just playing deep inhales and then letting my sort of dragon fire breath come out. And as I explore that, I find this real relationship of inner to outer happening. There's no right or wrong way to do this breath. You feel free to do anything you want with that. What's happening for me with the breath, there's a lot of body stuff happening, but there's a lot of face stuff happening. I'm noticing my nostrils really flaring and yeah, like my dragon face getting full on. Yeah, we hold our faces and we hold our expression in with our faces a lot. So feel free to free up the face pattern. But I also feel this internal volume of my breath. Well, I'm going to start to add this extra sound. So it's kind of a gut body breath. And that is like if you have a little bit of spit in your throat. So there's that fluidity with the dragon breath, or sometimes I call it the cave breath because it's like your mouth is like a cave and the air, maybe the waves of the ocean are coming in and the air is coming and going. So allowing that sort of energy, very fluid, very earth-based with that cave idea. But maybe there's this bubbling lava underneath. So however it's playing out for you, whatever it is, if you're not angry, you're in on this one, that's fine too. Because it can also be funny. Just inviting your body to process whatever's going on, whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart, whatever's in your guts. So yeah, that spit breath adds a little bit more of the gut body into it, right? The mucous membranes of our whole digestive tract get, I like to think, activated with that spit gut body gargle breath. It's a lot easier if you're laying down than when you're seated, but it can be done both ways. What's bubbling up? What's in your cauldron? And then also, like, what are we setting free? What are we planting? What ingredients are we putting in? I'm going to take it down to the floor. Yeah, so feel free to do this in any way, playing with the theta breath, the soft hiss, the air breath, or the gut body breath with that little bit of spit. So for me, often, once I spend some time with myself when I'm dealing with my things, and I come into this kind of work, there comes a point where the story sort of melts away and I'm just dealing with what's in my body. So that's the invitation, is to let the outer story sort of fade as we come into the sense of the body, the senses of the body, and allow them to express in whatever way they need to or want to or feels good or interesting. In a weird way, it's like you're clearing away the cobwebs. Or it's like I'm clearing away the cobwebs, right? So what does that, for me, that anger energy just allows me to kind of burn through some stuff. And something I'm really noticing right now is like the top of my inhale, allowing it to become even more like, ha, more voluminous. So it's like the roof of my inhale is billowing up. I think often I spend more time in these somatic explorations really with the exhale and maybe hanging out at the bottom of the exhale in that released space. But for right now, this top of the inhale, like the billowing balloon, is really working with my nose flares. So I'm in. And also, like, I'm not trying to relax every single muscle in my body right now. I'm letting some of them get very engaged. And sometimes it's in my hands, sometimes it's in my belly, but I'm allowing like kind of a push pull to happen in my body. So sometimes like the somatic exploration is really watery and fluid and like loosey goosey, and then sometimes it's more pushy, more pulley. We can connect through that energy within ourselves as well. And always, I just want to offer this always, if it becomes uncomfortable or scary or like, oh my God, it's too much, get up, walk around, have a glass of water, go to the bathroom, eat something. That can change everything for you. So we always have a way out. There's always a way to come into comfort or back to a normal homeostasis, whatever your homeostasis is. You can just look around the space, think about your cat or your dog or your child or a flower, right? We can always come back into something that's maybe more fun or delicious or easeful. But I think it's really important that we don't just pretend that everything's good all the time, and that we can come into our practice, we can come into our space with these patterns and emotions that are also there. Right? We can come in with our lizard body. We could come in with our octopus body or our bird body or our dinosaur body or our fish body. But really just letting our bodies be in whatever kind of animal way feels, I don't even want to say sustainable, maybe long-term sustainable, but immediate. Let's say it feels immediate. At a certain point, like whatever the emotion was I came in with, it's like become such an abstract experience that it isn't even, that story is just like pinged off into total outer space. And I'm just here experiencing myself in my body on the floor, breathing and moving with you guys. Yay! Taking up as much space as I need to take up. Making friends with my different, more awkward parts, right? Having some compassion for myself and my experience. And then from there, I can be more compassionate with other people. But for right now, right in here, it's just my experience that I'm dancing with. And then the greater field of everyone's experience that we're all dancing with, whether we know it or not. Feeling into myself. I just got reminded that, yeah, I'm still angry. So feeling into what that is. Where does it land? What does it feel like? What's going on? and allowing it to be there. I feel like in a weird way, there's the what did you do before enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. What did you do afterwards? Chop wood, carry water. It's a very chop wood, carry water. Yes, this is happening in the emotional space. What did you do before you were angry? Chop wood, carry water. What did you do after you were angry? Chop wood, carry water. I think I'm going to give us some music for a few minutes so I can stop talking and just be in, allowing the music to really shift things if it does or if it doesn't. And of course, this is Jeff Gersh, Ambient Fields. This one is number 4. I'm actually going to take this up to standing. it's really rocking out there, and it was getting very interesting to move to. Just invite us in for a minute or two of just being in the silence of your own experience, just letting things land, letting us come in, maybe to stillness, maybe to micro movement, maybe big movement, whatever's working for you. And I want to share something that saw when I was on the floor, and it's this stone that, like, if you look at it like this, here's the stone. It's sort of like egg-shaped stone, but if you flip it over, it's got another little tiny stone inside in the same shape. And it's like it's just I don't know what metaphor this is to me, but there's a metaphor here that relates to my experience. And I think part of it is like we can break this stone, but what's inside? The same thing, right? So like we're super strong and resilient, and like the balances and the harmonies of ourselves in the world aren't going to be changed hugely. Maybe they are. Maybe we're going to break in half and there's going to be a smaller version of ourselves right inside. So that's my deep thought for TV land. And maybe it's total BS.